Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Dale Barzy. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. Today, it is my great pleasure to welcome Emily Tiderington out of Illinois. Emily describes herself as a dedicated ICU nurse who seamlessly transitioned her expertise from bedside to the legal world. And she says that her career has been defined by her unwavering commitment to some of the most critical patients in the hospital. So, welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, my absolute pleasure. Firstly, why are you a nurse?
I think it's kind of the same with everybody. We're just drawn to helping people. So I initially thought about going to med school. I was like, well, I can't afford that. So I was like, nursing school would be great. And I kind of never looked back. I decided to go, and here we are.
What did you have any other family members in healthcare?
My aunt was a nurse. She was actually an OR nurse.
Mhm.
So I reached out to her a lot during nursing school, actually, and it kind of made us closer, I think. But
Yeah.
other than that, no, nobody in the family was in the medical field. My dad was a firefighter, paramedic. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You heard all of
Yeah.
his story, but
Yeah.
no, nobody else in the hospital or healthcare.
Yeah. So what were the challenges for you though?
Um, in nursing school or nursing in general?
In general, in school, out of school?
I mean, nursing school is tough for everybody, right? You're all hoping for that 80% just so you don't have to take the class again. But you get your close friends and you make it through together. And nursing, so my first nursing job, I had an interesting manager who kind of tried to take sides and pin people against each other, which was a little difficult to do. I can say I was one of the favorite employees, which was great, but you know, you you can't you can't do that
Yeah.
in the hospital. You can't take sides. You need to work as a team. So that
Yeah.
that was definitely challenging. And then I remember when I told her I was going to the ICU, I was shaking because I was terrified of what she was going to say to me and about me behind my back. So that was a little challenging. But other than that, I nursing has come very easily to me, I think.
Yeah. And so it made you the ultimate diplomat. You described her as interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't talk about people behind their backs. You use nice words.
Okay. And most of your nursing life has been spent in intensive care.
Yes.
What do you like most about that?
I like how critical the patients are. I like the fact that I am able and I get to watch them come back where I literally have to have their lives in my hands. You're
Hmm.
going up on vasopressors, you're giving blood, you're doing everything you do in the ICU. And then a couple days or a couple weeks down the road, you get to see them move on to the progressive care unit.
Transition.
And it's absolutely amazing because you're like, I helped do that.
Yeah.
I helped
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. Brought you back from the brink.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely it does. What do you think you would like to see change, if anything?
I know a lot of people nowadays are having issues with staffing, and I think nurses need to be encouraged to take more breaks to prevent burnout because I think that is why we're having a staffing issue. I think people are extremely burnt out. COVID did a number on everybody. Um, and when I was at Barnes, I had a manager. She was absolutely fantastic. If you needed a day, she'd be like, oh, yeah, just take a day. You're fine. Or, you're like, hey, I think I need this week off because I'm really burnt out. Okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll get it covered. So I think that, that mentality among higher ups should be encouraged, because everybody's human. Everybody needs a break, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's just a mental break, so I think seeing that among, assistant managers and nursing managers, and even charge, like, oh, hey, I need this half-hour lunch break. Can you cover for me? Yeah, sure, no
Yeah.
problem. I got it. I'll call you if I need you. So
Yeah.
I think that would benefit the nursing culture a lot.
Yeah. And that attitude, actually, you find that people respond a whole lot better. The
Yeah,
same person who would allow you to just to take your break or to take your day or whatever, you're the one who now does not really want to take that day unless you really have
right,
to,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you feel like you're actually a part of a great team, and you're like, I don't
Yep,
want to let my team down.
yep,
So I think
yep,
it all around
yeah,
it makes it a lot better environment to work in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Your commitment to that team is stronger, much stronger.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But so in ICU, I mean, ICU is one of those, I will use the word glamour, glamorized areas. And it's where a lot of the innovations and stuff come into play. So
Mhm.
how do you see technology affecting the way we practicing nursing?
So I feel like the technology I had on my previous 2 units was not necessarily up to date.
Mm,
Um, I know Barnes is in the middle of a remodel right now, which will be absolutely fantastic. I think the unit will definitely benefit from it, but, um, I I think technology in the ICU is definitely needed because you have to monitor your patient so closely, and I think, I don't know. It's not really something you always think about just because it's there. Your
mhm.
monitor is there. You can get your cardiac numbers because your swan is already in your patient. Um, the bladder scanner can never be found anywhere, even in the ICU. So that
That is a
technology,
common problem everywhere.
yeah, yeah, you can never find one. And if you find one, you can't find the battery, and you're like, we're in 2024, people, come on. But and I think away from bedside, AI is becoming such a big thing, AI
Yeah,
technology, and it's um I think it can be useful, but I think it needs to be used with caution. um I think if people use it, you definitely need to read what was written, and you need to proofread it, because if you just copy and paste it and go, there could be inaccurate information. So I think that technology is, it still has some room to develop, but I think
yeah.
as of now, it needs to be used with caution for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's exciting, but in its baby stages.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it really is exciting. Um, what would you say? Well, what do you see then for over the next 5, 10 years? What do you see evolving? Because you know what, if I look back over 5, 10, 15 years,
Hmm.
nursing has just exploded.
Yeah.
And so looking forward, what do you think you see?
I think, I think that they are going to bring more technology into hospitals and, I would say outpatient facilities as well, because if hospitals do it, outpatients changing as well.
Yeah,
Um, but I think with the staffing issues, I think they're going to have to bring technology in, because if you can't have bodies at the bedside, you got to figure something out.
yeah.
Patients can't suffer because of that. So I think technology is going to move in that direction, not necessarily replacing nurses, but more helping doctors and nurses at the bedside to make what we do more efficient.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I spoke to a nurse not so long ago who is into IT, and in her facility, in one of the facilities that she services, they have started using robots for some things, a couple of
Okay.
things. And
Mhm.
things like, for example, as she described to me, if you had to put in an IV, for example, right? You would put
Mhm.
the order in on your tablet, and it would be a robot that would get the pump and all the equipment together, and
Wow.
whatever it was that you needed from, the pharmacy or whatever. So your role
Mhm.
is to show up and put in
Yeah.
your IV, and you don't have to go looking for an IV pump, and you don't have to go looking for, and I'm not sure how smoothly it's working at the moment, but that's the goal.
Right.
That was the goal of that, which
Yeah.
frees you up for a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
could see them maybe using it um as a Pyxis too,
yeah,
maybe having it
hmm,
dispense the medications, and then obviously as the nurse you have to do your rights of medication, right patient, right time, right
exactly,
dose, right med,
exactly.
all of that stuff. I could see that being useful because I mean a lot of times you run to the Pyxis, you have to wait in line.
Yeah, exactly.
So it I could see that freeing up time too.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it and thinking in those kinds of ways, I can see it being very useful. Very
Hmm.
useful.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I don't think they could ever replace doctors or nurses.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care how sophisticated they get. I don't see
Mhm.
them making holistic assessments.
I agree. I agree.
So, but so what would you say though? You transitioned into legal nurse consultant.
I did.
Why?
So my husband's job caused us to move away from our family. So our family's all in Michigan,
Uh-huh.
and we are here. And we probably, looking back, we probably should have lived in a neighborhood where there were other families and kids, but we did not. Um, so it was just kind of the two of us. And then we had our first child, and I went down to PRN, and I was working midnights, and I was like, I'm just going to switch to weekends and I can work days, and then it'll make life easier because he wouldn't have to put the baby down, right? And then we had our second child, and we're like, well, you we don't want to do daycare. I want
Mm.
to find a way. So I kind of decided I wanted to find a way to stay home and still use my ICU brain. So I actually started legal nurse consulting in, I think it was January of 2022. 2021, somewhere around there. I started looking into it and doing all my research. And then my father-in-law is actually a law enforcement expert witness. So he kind of
Oh,
had a little bit of an idea. And he was kind of telling me about it. He goes, oh, nurses do this too. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. So, you do your research, and I kind of just slowly evolved into a legal nurse consultant. And now I have a couple clients. I've done some expert cases, and I just, you help plaintiff and defense because a lot of time being a legal nurse, oh, how can you go against hospitals and nurses, and how can you do that to your own? And you're like, well, I don't. But also, if it's my family member, I don't, I want them to get the best care possible. And I would think everybody else would want that too. So it's just kind of snowballed from there.
okay. So at the moment you're not an entity,
At
not a
bedside.
business. Mhm. No, I mean
Oh,
your legal nurse consulting, is it a business yet, or are you looking to make it a whole business entity, an LLC or anything?
so I do have an LLC. I'm not
Mm.
quite sure how to use it yet because I am not a businesswoman. So I am working on that. Um, but as of right now, I have, I have enough work to keep me busy, and I am happy and content with what I'm doing right now.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm making it work.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Excellent, excellent.
I think business classes would be beneficial, but I haven't gotten there yet.
You will when you're ready.
You're right.
You will when you're ready. Yeah. What advice do you think you'd give to someone who wants to be a nurse?
Um, put your time in. You need to put your time in with patients. You need to do all you can in clinicals because it is hard. And once you get to the bedside, you're not necessarily thrown to the wolves. You get like 3 months of orientation, but that's it. And then it's you and your patient. And if something happens where you have to save their life, you have to know what to do. So you need to put your time in, you need to study your butt off. And it is hard. Nursing school is hard. And when you first become a nurse, you're uncomfortable. Just like with everything new, you're uncomfortable. But you evolve from this nurse who's kind of scared to do anything and scared to mess up and scared to get fired by a patient, because that's happened before. And you eventually grow into this nurse who you feel like you could do it all. And oh, this patient has this, oh well, then I would suggest that they need this, this, and this, because I think this might be happening. And you have a conversation with your team, and eventually you grow into being comfortable doing that. So I think you can never stop learning as a nurse, I guess, is the main point. Never stop learning, never stop looking back at your nursing textbooks. I have all of mine still, because they were very expensive, so I kept them all. Don't be afraid to reference those. If you don't know something, say, hey, I don't know that, can you explain that to me? So I don't know, I think it's a lifelong learning adventure to be a nurse.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Whether you wanted to or not, if you're
Yeah.
going to be a nurse, you're going to have to continue learning. I mean, it's just that simple. It's stuff evolves so quickly and changes happen. What was 2 years ago is not the same today.
No, especially with COVID. I think
Yeah.
COVID changed a lot of things.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to continue. You're gonna have to keep up.
Yeah, definitely. But it is worth it. I think people hear about the burnout a lot, and I think it probably turns them off from nursing, but I don't know. I think it's worth it.
It is worth it. It is worth it. I've been in this, 40 somewhat years.
Yeah.
And absolutely it's worth it. I know that initially when I first became a nurse, in fact, when I first got into nursing school, and this was in the mid 1970s in the United Kingdom, and I thought, oh my God, I've joined a nunnery. And so many times I thought in my early days, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But then my personality is like, you can't kick me out. I'm gonna have to leave on my own terms if I want to.
Right.
So I kept coming back, and then gradually it shifted from, no, this is not anymore that I'm going to do. To yeah, this is really what I need to do.
Yeah.
So,
And there's so many aspects of nursing that you can go into that I think once you find your niche in the one that you love, I think, you can't really imagine yourself not doing it. Like I miss the ICU bedside every day, and I, hopefully we'll be back in Michigan at the end of the year. I can't wait to get back. I love my patient interaction. I love what I do in the ICU, and you want every nurse to feel like that about where they are and what they're doing.
Yeah. And you just said, and especially now that there's so many specialties and subspecialties. There is a niche, as you just said. There is a niche. There isn't any. If you want to do something else other than nursing, fine. But those skills that you have acquired as a nurse can take you anywhere, and you can be a nurse anywhere doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't like the hospital, go to outpatient. If you don't like outpatient, try dialysis. If you don't like that, try to work at a company that needs a nurse on site. There's so many things you can do.
Start writing. I spoke to a nurse yesterday who's a screenwriter.
There you go.
You go do your thing.
Right. Yeah. And then there might actually be accurate medical shows if nurses and doctors go into screenwriting.
Exactly. I thought, yes. Yes.
That'd be great.
We won't have to cringe so much.
Right.
So if you could describe what you think of as the most essential quality of a nurse in just one word, what would that word be?
Flexibility.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing ever goes your way at the hospital. Something always goes wrong.
always, you came with a plan that
Yes.
this is how things are going to work.
Yep.
And for some reason, the plan is out the window before you even begin to execute it.
Yeah. Yeah. It never works. And you're like, okay, I'll have this done in an hour. And you're like, okay, 4 hours later.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And and that is the thing about the one thing it teaches you, if nothing else, it teaches you to be flexible, it teaches you to pivot, it teaches
Yeah.
you to be innovative and to maybe you didn't intend to execute the plan quite this way, but you know what? This is how we're going to do it now to get it done because
Yep.
the way we had in mind just went
Yep.
out the window.
Yep. You always come to the correct end result, but sometimes you have to take a couple different paths to get there.
Yeah. And that's both the frustration and the beauty of it.
Right, right. It's kind of like that with everything in life though, too, not just nursing.
In
You have
in
this
many
plan and then a wrench gets thrown in it and you're like, all right, well, this is what we're doing now.
one of the things I most admire about nurses actually is just that flexibility, that ability to go from one situation to another to another over the course of a shift.
Yeah,
And each situation is different, and you have very little time to adjust
right,
from one thing to the other, but you do it.
right,
And you left this room in tears and you walked into the other room smiling.
right, right. You might be a little puffy, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
Um,
somehow, I don't know, you have two post-op patients and cardiac patients, you're supposed to walk them every day, and somehow
yeah,
you always get those 3 walks in, even if it's 2, you get up and moving, or you just one of them is
yeah,
moving to the chair, to the bed, to the chair, to the bed,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you figure
yeah.
it out. You
You
figure it
do it
out.
up. Yeah, you do it. You get it done. You get it done
Yep.
because your patient needs you to get it done.
Right. It's what's best for them, so you make it happen.
Yeah, your patient needs you to get it done. So there. So, Emily, before we go, there was a question I wanted to ask you. What does self-care mean to you? What do you do to care for you? We talked a lot about burnout just now.
Yes. Well, I don't take self-care days often. I have a 3-year-old and I have an almost 1-year-old, and my husband's very busy at work. So you know but yesterday my mother-in-law was here and I had a doctor's appointment, so she watched the kids, and then I just went shopping for an hour. And I was like, this is great. I'm by myself. I don't have to entertain a child. I don't have to worry if they're choking on something. I'm by myself, and it's fantastic, and I can listen to music in the car as loud as I want. It can have swear words if I want it to. They can't repeat them because they can't hear them. So you I would say just having a little bit of alone time is self-care enough for these days. Later in life when they don't want to hang out with me, I'll figure something else out. But right now, just that hour of alone time is pretty healing.
Big. It's big. I know what you're saying. Believe me when I tell you, I know what you're saying. Did, did you by any chance use any of those swear words just because you could?
Probably. Just singing them at the top of my lungs.
Before we go, any gems you'd like to leave us with?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, before we go, is there any gem you'd like to leave us with?
Nursing people, I feel like it's got a bad rap right now. People are talking a lot of bad things about it, and I think that, in my opinion, it has been very fulfilling. I love taking care of people. They don't always say that they appreciate it, but then you get those few patients that do, and I feel like after that happens, I feel like my heart could just explode with happiness. So
Yeah,
I think nursing is worth it. It is tough. It is hard. It is not an easy career by any means, but it is worth it.
absolutely. Thank you for that. On that note, thank you so very, very much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.